The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Invisible Influence Series. If you're ready to massively increase your sales by leveraging the power of subconscious persuasion, then make sure you text the word COMPEL to 411321. That's COMPEL to 411321. And if you're outside of the United States, then use WhatsApp and text the word COMPEL to 1-909-741-1321. Make sure you put in your best email address because that's how we'll deliver the goodies. Welcome to the Influencer's Edge. This is the place where you come to get the latest breakthroughs, cutting-edge insights, tools, and techniques to leapfrog over the pack in sales, persuasion, and influence. Be sure you visit our website at www.theinfluencersedge.com. And while you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now sit back, tune in, and enjoy today's episode. All right, well, welcome back to the... Oh, shit, sorry. Tracy, we have to restart. I'm really tired. 10 seconds, Tracy. All right, welcome back to the Influencer's Edge. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being so very, very patient. I have technical issues, so this is what my office really looks like. There's Tom Cruise, who played me in a movie. We'll talk about that another time. Let's make it about our guest today, Frederick Dudek. Did I say that well?
Yes, that is exactly.
All right. So he's got an interesting thing that he does. We're going to talk about. Frederick is an author, soon to be podcaster. When can we expect your podcast to be live, and what's it going to be about?
It's going to be about how to create business superfans, and it'll be probably in the next couple months. Right now, all the interviews that I've been doing in reference to the Business Superfans book, I'm putting those up, and then I'm actually starting to record my own shows, and we'll be posting those within the next couple months.
Well, we'll promote that. You are a sales and marketing executive with over 30 years of experience achieving breakthrough sales performance results in domestic and global business markets. He's led corporate sales and marketing efforts in the SaaS. I have no idea what that is. What is
software as a service?
Say again?
Software as a service.
Oh boy. Okay. And now in the interpretation and translation industry, which I wonder what Chat GPT and the rest of them are going to do to that in the translation industry. But that's a topic for another day, another time. So let's jump right in. I want to know, and we have a list of questions that you submitted. We'll get to them, but I want to know first and foremost, how did you make the leap, the transition, the bridge from being in the corporate world to creating superfans? It seems to me like a big gap to jump across, almost like a Evel Knievel. You remember Evel Knievel, the stuntman who would jump the Grand Canyon and break his neck. How did you make that big leap?
Well, it's really not a leap. It's really, they're intertwined, and that's really why I kind of wrote this book, is because in my corporate sales, both domestically and internationally, I really created my customers as my super fans, and they became my sales force. And that in turn, propelled my sales success, because my sales cycles were extremely short, because I would be referred to somebody and by an existing customer. And so they were already sold by the customer. All I had to do was do the paperwork.
How did you come across the process? Who is your inspiration, or what were your inputs to come across this process? Because before people tell me their process, I want to hear their process of discovery. So how did you discover how to do this?
Well, I was fortunate. The company I worked at, several decades ago, had together a sales training program, and I raised my hand and got picked to transition from tech guy to sales guy. And it was a 6-month sales training program. And the really thing that they really emphasized, and it was all high-end names like Wilson Learning, Vanguard, Strategic Account Management, Dale Carnegie, blah, blah, blah. But it really talked about building relationships. And So my style of selling transitioned from solution selling or product selling to really sitting down with the business owners and talking about where do they want to be in a couple of years business wise. And I was selling software, and at the end of the day, all software products do the job in one way or another, but I got out of that conversation and really focused on, okay, Jack, where do you want to be in 3 years, 5 years as a business? And how can I help accomplish that with the tools that I'm providing? So it changed the sales approach to be more of a strategist in a sense.
You're almost extracting their narrative. You're extracting their narrative and in a sense, turning them into a storyteller, not necessarily once upon a time storyteller, but you're like the little grain that goes into the oyster and creates the pearl. You're the catalyst for them through the way you exercise your talent and your art to get them to tell you their narrative. Would that be an accurate way of looking at it?
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, one of the things I've learned is that, business owners are interested in three things. What's it gonna do for me? What's it cost? How much money am I gonna make if I make this investment in this thing, whatever it is, service, product, etc. And so when you address that and say, okay, you want to grow this company, from X million to this million, and this component is going to help you get there because you can do things faster, blah, 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 blah. They're not going to care whether the thingamajig is blue or green or purple.
Right.
They're not into the features and, well, can it do this and that? It's like, well, this is going to help me get to where I want to go. And this guy's going to help me do it. Let's go.
Got it. So the process of writing your book, what is the title of your book? Give it to us again.
Creating Business Superfans.
Does this apply? I'm assuming this applies to the entrepreneur, not just someone who has a corporation or one of the things that, well, let me back it out of that question and ask you a different one. You said in your biography that you can teach people how to make the employees and team members your super fans. Is that correct? Did I get that wrong, or did I get that right?
It's correct, but it's a little bit more than that. And let me help with that. There's a lot of people that talk about customer engagement, customer motivation, retention, but you stop and think about it. That's really, they're talking about a silo. That's just one component of the business. Then there's other people to talk about employees, retention, motivation, all that stuff. But again, that's another silo. And then nobody ever talks about complementary businesses, like let's say a simple example everybody understands is painting and flooring companies. They complement one another. And nobody ever talks about them. What I did in writing Creating Business Superfans is I combined all three groups because in reality, they're intertwined. If your employee is having a bad day because he's not happy with the company and you send him out to do a painting job, he's probably that got referred to by the flooring guy. The job's not going to be the best job. And so now two people get affected. The flooring guy gets a bad rap because he's the one who referred your painting company.
Right.
Your painting company gets a bad rap. Everybody loses.
And then your referrals are going to dry up and the whole thing goes into the whole thing goes into the potty.
Correct. Where if you're engaging, it's the same thing as if I don't take time to recognize my painting guy that's giving me referrals and give something back to him, eventually that relationship is going to dry up because it's going to be viewed as one-sided. As, wait a minute, I'm giving the flooring guy all these referrals. I'm not getting anything back. This isn't working for me anymore.
Well, wouldn't you be getting a monetary reward back in exchange for the referrals, or what do you mean?
That depends on what the arrangement is. I mean, the arrangement might be that. The arrangement might be that, we work together, but I'll pass a lead to you. You pass a lead to me. So, people put in a new floor. They want new walls painted. People get walls painted. They may want the flooring updated. So, but if it doesn't go back and forth, then that's going to fall apart. Just a simple, I'm just keeping it a super simple example.
I get it. You seem to me, and this is my read, as a very, very logical, systematic, methodical, how can I put this? You're a very methodical guy. You like systems and you're very methodology driven and oriented. How do you take someone who doesn't have that mindset and help them map it over so they can create superfans the way you've done it? Because not everyone, I just interviewed a guest right prior to you who works with creatives. And I don't want to misinterpret. Is it right to say that you're very methodical and very
well, yeah, I used to be an engineer, so that sort of
I read it
pops
right.
out. So but at the same time, I've learned to be also much more lively and stuff like that. So with the creative, it's you can talk about, they're going to love super fans because it's energy. If you got if you look at saying, okay, I mean, it's real simple. Saying thank you. Most people don't thank people for the business. They say thank you, but there's no real follow-up thank you. Like sending a thank you card, like sending an email that says thank you.
Makes a huge difference.
Huge difference. So it's the little things. It's taking the time to say, hey, Charlie, really appreciate the extra effort you did on this particular project. That gets Charlie to feel good. Now, that's nice. That's directly to Charlie, but if you really want to blow it up, you say, hey, team, I want to bring a minute and I want to just take a moment to recognize Charlie because he helped us with this particular project, put in the extra effort, and because of him, we won this big, huge account. Now Charlie feels like a rock star.
So you get the entire team involved in doing the acknowledgement, not just you.
Correct.
So that I get curious and ask questions that the guests probably never get asked before. So that requires that you sort of put some inspiration into the entire team, which means if they're not fans of yours, they're not going to do it, or they're going to do it begrudgingly, or they're going to be passive aggressive. It's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Correct?
Absolutely correct. I mean, you've heard and you've talked to people. It's like, oh crap, I got to go to the office again.
Yes.
It's not a fun place. And then you talk to somebody else and go, man, we have a blast in the office. It's a great company. I love this place. That's a super fan of the company. The other one's just doing a job for a paycheck. And so it's about creating that energy within that company environment which then carries on to your customers. Because if your team is in a positive, feel appreciated, recognized, et cetera, that's going to come across to when they're talking to your customers. And that comes across in sales. And that comes across with business partners.
Aren't there some corporate cultures or business cultures where that kind of thing is just not encouraged? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, unfortunately, that is true. And those are the places that people begrudgingly go to work at because it's not a fun environment. It's a job.
Yeah, I think that's all too common. So let's talk more about creating the superfans methodology, because again, I can spot an engineer when I talk to them. Many of my clients in a former profession were engineers. So what kind of engineer were you?
I used to be a mechanical engineer. Matter of fact, if you remember the 1982 Ford Escort, I'm the guy that designed the spot weld guns that spot welded the body panels for that car.
You already lost me. A spot weld gun. I don't even
well, spot weld is welding metal to metal. So there's a gun that comes in and welds the metal together in a spot, and that's why it's called a spot weld. So it's not a whole bead; it's just a little spot. And the intent was to make sure that the fixtures hold the stuff correctly. And then back then there was no robots, so you had a guy that would come in and weld that. And so, that's where I got the engineering started from.
Let's talk about creating superfans outside of a corporate environment, because I would divide our listenership into 40% salespeople, 40% entrepreneurs. But as you know, if you're not selling, you're dying. So all entrepreneurs had better be salespeople. And then another 15% are just people who are junkies for influence, persuasion, all sorts of out there topics that we sometimes cover and interview people who are experts about. So how do people who, let's say, and if this is not your jam, I understand, maybe it is your jam, I don't know. How do you take people who have an online business and they're selling products or services, like someone is selling a course on how to be a successful doctor, how to build their chiropractic practice and get a flood of clients? How do you teach them to build super fans? Through social media, or is that?
It's a combination, and I talk about all that stuff in the book. Actually, here's what the book looks like, and
Hold it up and hold it.
Yeah, so you can see there's pictures of us with our faces painted like super fans.
Got it.
And so excellent question. So for example, I know somebody, I know somebody that sells a course, and he's got it automated to, it sends that person, once they buy, a regular thank you card in the mail to the US Postal Service. Thank you for buying our course. And that has reduced his people cancellations and requesting money, because he's just showing gratitude and appreciation in his message for them coming on. So one of the things I teach about, and I'll just go through the chapters because it'll address everybody. So chapter 1 is, it all begins with prospecting. So I've got that in there for the entrepreneur just get started, or just some different ideas to help your prospecting aspect. Chapter 2 is why follow-up is super important, and it really talks about the importance of follow-up in a multitude of different areas. Chapter 3 is thank you builds a bond of trust, and that's why I said, it's important to send, thank you. Home improvement are notoriously horrible at this. If you think about it, it's the truth. If you think about it, we've all had service done in our homes, right? And they've done a job, they did a great job, and they say, thanks a lot, see you, bye, and you never hear from them again. So, they've lost the golden nugget of the existing customer base and getting referrals out of customer base.
One of my mentors, Dan Kennedy, once said, the most expensive thing you can do in your business is to acquire a customer, and the second most expensive thing you can do is to lose the customer.
Absolutely correct.
Right on.
Yep. Number 4, get personal with birthday greetings. And it's really, it's people like to be recognized, and it might be, I send people birthday cards. I always get a text message or something. Wow, thanks you for being so thoughtful. Create an environment of appreciation is the next chapter. Chapter 6, give them what they crave, recognition. And one of my sayings is, people will crawl through broken glass for appreciation and recognition.
Absolutely. It's one of the human needs. It's a part of the hierarchy of human needs. Absolutely.
Yep. But we don't do it. You'd be surprised when people don't do it. Retention saves you money. And we just talked about that. And, says, and I've read Dan Kennedy stuff. Number 8, go beyond expectation with the unexpected extras. This is huge, because this is doing something that somebody wasn't expecting. And the quick short story is, we ordered some food from a place. We went to the place, and this is what inspired that chapter. Is I went to go pick up the stuff, and no recollection of the order. So they get the manager. The manager says, "Oh, hey, I screwed up. We see that you called, but somebody messed up. Here, have a beer on us. We'll cook it and bring it out to you." They cook it, they bring it out. I look at it. One of the meals is wrong. Because they went fast.
I've been there.
So he apologizes profusely, runs back. He says, I'll personally make sure it's done. He comes back and he goes, oh, hang on a second. And while I'm checking the food, he goes back and he brings out a piece of cheesecake. He goes, it's our mistake. Here you go. And I says, okay, what do I owe you for this? He goes, absolutely nothing. We screwed it all up. This is on the house. So not only, and then he gives us 2 business cards with $5 off for the 2 of us for our next meals. That guy went.
And
the
you still have the
unexpected.
card. Is that the actual card?
Yeah, no, it's not the actual card. I used it.
Okay.
We've become fans of the place, and we've gone back there frequently because the food's great. But he handled it top shelf. I mean, he threw an unexpected extra in there. The meal was on the house. I got a free dessert and I got discount.
So how would that translate to like an online business? You give an extra bonus that you didn't, that was not in the package?
Yeah, I've gotten stuff. I've ordered stuff online from some companies, and all of a sudden I find a little trinket that's a little something extra.
Wait, this is how Cracker Jacks built a fortune. They would put the little toy in there. No one bought Cracker Jacks for the crappy Cracker Jacks, and they didn't tell you what the toy was. You bought it just so you could empty out the Cracker Jacks, get yelled at by your
digging in to
mom,
find that sucker,
ruin everything because your dirty little paws were in there, and not eat the Cracker Jack because you wanted the useless toy that the kids would swallow and choke on.
You got it. You got it. Okay. Number 9, reviews are the new word of mouth. And it's true. I mean, everybody nowadays, we go look at our smartphones, we look at the restaurant, we read the reviews.
Absolutely.
So reviews is the new word of mouth. And number 10 is growing exponentially through referrals. Referrals is really the currency. Yes. And number 11 is attraction is rooted in gratitude. And that's really important, is to be grateful and express your gratitude for getting the referral and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
And the last chapter, I call it, is game time. Is okay, get off your doofus and let's start doing something. And where I take it further is each chapter has a question. And what we did is, per each chapter question, I created what we call the Superfan scorecard wheel. Okay. And so this wheel has per each chapter, and there's instructions on what to do involved in here. And you put a dot, it's like a dartboard, and you put a dot, and then you connect the lines, and most people end up with the dilapidated wheel. And then you can see what you need to do. And then there's in here of, okay, what it is that I'm going to do. And this is free. What am I going to do to improve my area in prospecting? What am I going to do to improve my area?
I think it's a really good idea, because if you just write it down, like writing in a journal, it's one thing. People need a visual representation for it to really go in. So this is another, see, the guy who designed the glue gun is designing the way his learning system works and the way people actually learn visually. So once again, your engineering background, I always like, this fascinates me. My last guest was talking about her background as a scientist and how she now does high ticket sales. And I said, do you see the relation? It doesn't really matter, but I'm seeing the relationship between your engineering mind and how you design this book. Do you think if you had not been an engineer, you would have designed it this way?
Probably not.
Probably not.
No, because it's a book. Each chapter is designed as a self-enclosed chapter. And what I mean by that is, if I'm looking, what do I need to do to recognize my third-party partners? I go to the recognition chapter. What do I need to do to recognize my employees? It's in the recognition chapter. What do I need to recognize my customer? It's in the recognition chapter. So it's set up so that each chapter basically is self-sufficient. I need to improve my prospecting. I just go to the prospecting. I don't have to go through the book. And where was that at in the book? And highlight.
Yeah, I hate having to go through the whole thing. Frederick, you've been an awesome guest. Absolutely. I hope you enjoyed my style of interviewing. I told you, I always warn my guests or inform my guests that this is not a typical kind of show. I always want to dig into the psyche of my guests, and thank you for being open for me doing that, at least somewhat. I really appreciate it. Now, you've offered real value, so I'm going to show my appreciation and recognition by asking you to continue to give value to my audience. How would my audience, viewers, listeners, stay in a conversation with you?
They can go to the Business Superfans website, which is businesssuperfans.com. And there they can, I'm actually building out a community. so people can get in there for accountability and coaching, etc. They'll be able to get the Superfan scorecard wheel for free. They can access the book, which is available on Amazon and all those places. The other thing that I did for those that want to do prospecting and help with their marketing, I've created what I feel is the best customer avatar worksheet. And then why I say it's the best, because I purchased and download everybody else's and grabbed all the good stuff and got rid of all the crapola and had my team put this together, and it's multi-pages. But where it goes beyond is it actually helps you create your elevator pitch, so that not only do you know who your target market is, you know how to approach them and what to say.
Love it. All right. Well, we will see y'all on the next episode of The Influencer's Edge. Frederick, thank you. And thank you for being patient with my technical issues. I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate it there. All right. Thank you much.
The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Invisible Influence Series. If you're ready to massively increase your sales by leveraging the power of subconscious persuasion, then make sure you text the word COMPEL to 411321. That's COMPEL to 411321. And if you're outside of the United States, then use WhatsApp and text the word COMPEL to 1-909-741-1321. Make sure you put in your best email address, because that's how we'll deliver the goodies. Thank you for tuning in to the Influencer's Edge, where you get the latest breakthroughs, cutting-edge insights, tools, and techniques so you can leapfrog over the pack at sales, influence, and persuasion. Remember to visit our website at www.theinfluencersedge.com to enjoy even more great episodes like this one. We look forward to seeing you again on the Influencer's Edge Show.